Now, there is no doubt about it that there is this great wave of positivity that a lot of people out there have been feeling. I'm sure that you guys have felt it too. The turn of the tide that nobody saw coming to happen so quickly, especially within the media, within, of course, the film industry, and how multiple studios now are beginning to drop DEI. Now, yes, there are examples of the Walt Disney Company who are trying to latch on to their DEI agenda, and we'll have a lot more to talk about that. But this major cultural shift, I don't think anybody saw this coming. Well, sure, they saw this coming, but not so quickly as it is happening right now in 2024. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, those out there like Sunny Hostin of The View are one of the examples, by the way, that are still clinging to the old ways, right? And are really trying to push the overall agenda, push the DEI agenda, and really are trying to essentially blame game or scapegoat toward many different people out there, one of which, by the way, being Robert De Niro. Now, we know that there's a lot of examples of the media in Hollywood now collapsing, and this is yet another prime example of just that. Now, focusing on both Sunny Hostin and Robert De Niro, in case you guys have been out of the loop, we know that Sunny Hostin has been going through multiple meltdowns, much like many other actors, actresses, personalities out there, and this is not a big shocker at the end of the day, as she is already on the blame game train against Robert De Niro. Are we really all that shocked? I sure am not at all. But focusing on all of this. Now, given that the entire media is trapped in a corner after extensive backlash and pushback from the general public, one program in particular, such as The View with Sunny Hostin, is already going through a ratings disaster as the scapegoating continues. Now, Sunny Hostin recently delivered the following in pointing the finger at Robert De Niro. It's been over a month, she says, since we lost, and all I can notice right now is that we are witnessing a ton of childish behavior on our side that we aren't doing enough work to keep getting our message across. I've seen a ton of blaming going around right now, especially toward me, as to why we lost, but I think the bigger picture is that we have to look at some of these A-list stars, like Robert De Niro, for example, who really gave up on us too easily. The problem that I have with some of these actors that have such a large following and a platform that needs to be used, and needs to come to use, is that they stand up for these people at one point, and then they become silent and turn against their own fan base at the next second. We have seen this in front of all of us with Mr. De Niro, and I think all of it shows to us is weakness on our end, something that I don't particularly appreciate. We need to keep defending ourselves, and we need to keep pushing our message against sexism and misogyny. Why Robert De Niro decided to go silent is a mystery to me, but we have other stars out there who acted so strong and so powerful that now just make us look bad. It's a bad look for all of us, and I think that we need to really redefine what we stand for. Do people really want to live in a world of normalcy where sexism and misogyny is allowed for the next 4 and potentially 8 years? I sure hope not. We need more voices coming from those like Mr. De Niro, who really were aggressive with their approach, with this overall approach to over half the country who are misinformed and not entirely educated on what really matters. So guys, before I move on about what she's spewing, she's talking just like Alec Baldwin and Sharon Stone, where she said over half the country is uneducated, they are misinformed, they don't know what they're talking about. And look, this is exactly why I say that people in the world, people in society, they don't need actors, they don't need talk show hosts, those on television, alright? People throughout their lives, whether you're 60 years old, 40, 30, whatever, people have dealt with normal people out there, right? Doctors, nurses, construction workers, all these people that actually contribute to the world in a very constructive way. However, she is actually making it like these actors are needed in society, and she is not able to cope with the fact that they had all these actors, they had all these stars on their side at one point, and now they're silent. People like Mark Hamill is another great example. He gave up on X, also known formerly as Twitter. He is now on Blue Sky, and he's on all these different apps and no longer posting on there. That's another example of another actor that went silent after they lost in 2024. So she goes on to continue, we need to present logic and facts, and we need more actors and personalities with a platform to boost that visibility to the public. As a woman of color, and one that comes from different ethnic backgrounds, I can honestly say I am frightened for what the next 4, maybe 8 years are going to offer. We need to be ready for the worst case scenario, and I think everyone should be really prepared for what society is about to deal with. I brought this up with Whoopi and Joy, that we need to stick together in all of this, and if we are to rely on those like Mr. De Niro and Mr. Clooney to have that voice and suddenly go quiet, I don't know who else we can really believe in moving forward. So guys, again, I mean, this is yet again Sunny Hostin's way of coping with the fact that, yeah, they had actors by their side at one point and now they're silent. When was the last time that you heard from Robert De Niro, right? When was the last time that you heard from George Clooney publicly speaking against the general public? Not really too much, right? Mark Hamill, another prime example. You don't really hear from these actors, whether they're A-list, B-list, stars, whatever have you. They have gone silent. And I'm sure that they're going to reemerge at some point, sure, but we know that there's a lot of in-studio fighting, a lot of in-studio battles with these actors associated with different studios happening behind the scenes. We've been talking about this day in and day out. That's a thing that is currently active. But as far as vocally speaking against the general public, you haven't been really hearing all that much from people like Robert De Niro, right? And that really just goes to show you how cowardly these actors truly are. So yeah, I mean, look, as much as I am of a heavy critic of Sunny Hostin, this is maybe the one little logical thing that she might have been onto, is that these actors are cowardly and they are silent right now. But you know what? At the end of the day, this is another example of the chips are down right now with the whole scenario, and they are blame gaming. They are blaming each other. She's being very hypocritical, right? Now, she's blaming Robert De Niro, she's blaming George Clooney, she's blaming all these different stars within the Hollywood bubble that has now officially popped, and at the same exact time, you know, we have the media such as ABC, which by the way is owned by Disney. They operate The View, alright, they operate that program. They allow talking heads like Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin to spew their overall lies that they have actually spread throughout the past, 6, 7, 8 years, especially within the past 4 to 5 weeks, that went into a whole new level. But continuing on, in conclusion, she goes on to conclude, it's a time of difficulty, but we need to hang on to the optimism, where sexism, misogyny, and bigotry can be removed from society, and we can move onwards. That's my approach and what I want to see happen as soon as possible. And if we can just get that right, and if we could just get the right voices with large platforms, we can make great change to society. Let's just hope that we can do that. So again, Sunny Hostin, I think, is just losing it. She doesn't know how to cope with the fact of what's happening right now as we enter 2025. And overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about Hostin's overall breakdown, how she views Robert De Niro, how she views George Clooney, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.